Good, happy Wednesday evening, February 19, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this evening, so let's begin. First up, we begin with breaking news. Missing parolee convicted in connection with New Hampshire officer's death arrested in Texas. Kevin Paul arrested by U.S. Marshals after nationwide search. A man convicted in connection with the 1997 killing of a New Hampshire police officer has been arrested in Texas after he was being sought for breaking his parole, officials said. Kevin Paul, 41, was convicted of being an accomplice in the shooting death of Officer Jeremy Cherone. Paul was granted parole in September 2019, but investigators said he hadn't checked in with his parole officer since February 4th. An arrest warrant was issued 10 days later. The U.S. Marshal Service said its fugitive task force arrested Paul without incident in Corpus Cove, Texas, a small city near Fort Hood. Officials said investigative work by marshals in Texas and Tennessee led them to Paul's location on northern Dove Lane in Corpus Cove. Supervisory Deputy U.S. Marshal Jeff White said he's glad Paul was taken into custody without incident. He had nothing to lose, White said. He didn't want to go back to prison. He wanted to get him off the streets as soon as possible to prevent that from happening. Paul is being held in the Bell County Jail as a fugitive from justice. Investigators said Paul told his parole officer that his court-mandated GPS monitoring bracelet wasn't working. The arrest warrant states that Paul failed to check in with his parole officer February 4th and 11th. He was last seen at his sober living house in Manchester on February 9th. Paul was first granted parole in 2015, but returned to prison 5 months later on firearms and drug charges. Law enforcement officials expressed disbelief that the parole board released him into the public in September 2019. News 9 investigates obtained an audio recording of the September parole hearing in which Paul assured the board that he was worthy of another chance at freedom. Okay, Mr. Paul, I've seen you on your previous bids for parole, and I give you a chance, and you disappointed me, said then Chairwoman Donna Seitek. Today, I believe you are a new person, so the decision of the board is we are going to give you another chance to prove yourself. I'm not going to let you down, Paul said. I'm not going to let the detective down. Paul was originally convicted in connection with Cherone's death after prosecutors said Paul watched as his friend shot Cherone and then fired at police during the ensuing chase. Paul then robbed a store at gunpoint. And we're following some more breaking news. Merrimack County Sheriff announces resignation after aggravated DWI conviction. Scott Hilliard says he will step down on March 31st. The Merrimack County Sheriff announced his resignation Wednesday, 1 month after he was found guilty of aggravated driving while intoxicated. Scott Hilliard announced the decision in a letter to the community. I wish to take this opportunity to say thank you to the countless people who have supported me and my family in some difficult times. Hilliard's letter read in part, "The decision to step down as your sheriff is not an easy one." Hilliard said his final day will be on March 31st. In January, Hilliard was convicted and sentenced to spend 17 days in the Belknap County House of Corrections with 12 days suspended, resulting in a 5-day stay. His sentence has been stayed pending an appeal. He will also lose his driver's license for 18 months, but that time period could be reduced to 12 months if he participates in a program. Hilliard spoke to WMUR following the verdict, saying the conviction was not the outcome he expected, but apologized to his family, the court, and the public. "I'm human. I made a mistake," Hilliard said. "I've acknowledged it since day one. I've also taken the liberty to correct my mistake. I've been to counseling." The Merrimack County Board of Commissions released a statement after the verdict, noting that Hilliard was elected official and could not be removed from office without his resignation or being voted out during the next election. Late last month, WMUR obtained body camera footage showing Hilliard's interaction with police and his arrest August 9th, 2019 in Tilton. Several Manchester schools closed Wednesday due to water main break. Mammoth Road shut down between Somerville Street and Candia Road. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
The alert came in around 4 a.m. A 20-inch water main on Mammoth Road had ruptured. The water flowing so quickly it was creating whitecaps in the middle of Johnson Street. Manchester Waterworks says normally a 20-inch main moves about 15,000 gallons of water a minute, and that was all flowing into the surrounding streets.
Initially, when this happened, there were a few thousand homes that were affected because the water pressure just dropped in the surrounding area.
5 schools in the area also had to shut down because they didn't have water. Throughout the morning, crews worked to stop the flow of water to the broken main, having some success.
The water's been, rerouted around the problem.
According to Manchester Waterworks, the pipe that broke was a cast iron pipe originally installed in 1960. The director of the Waterworks says that is not considered old for a main, and they don't believe age was a factor.
It might be just the settling of the ground and a piece of rock pushing on the main might have done something.
Temperature fluctuations can also cause problems, along with something known as a water hammer, which is what you experience with your washing machine at home when you hear a banging in your pipes. By mid-morning, the excavation was underway, and water service had been restored to much of the area. Mayor Joyce Craig called this an unfortunate event that could not have been anticipated, and had a message for those affected.
We appreciate you being patient, and just know we're doing everything in our power to fix this situation as soon as possible.
Once service is restored, as you take a live look at the scene once again, Manchester water officials do not anticipate a boil order will be necessary. They say they'll do a good job of flushing the mains. As for the road, well, crews anticipate being here late into the night. The hope is to get that open for tomorrow morning's commute. Reporting live in Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
Now the work continues. Our team coverage continues with WMUR's Kristen Carosa. And Kristen, this is causing all kinds of problems for homeowners and businesses in that area, right?
Sean, we're standing a short distance away from where Ray is right now. We want to show you what Johnson Street looks like right now. As you can see, there's some activity happening as we speak. This is one of the places impacted by this water main break. And as you can see, water came rushing down this way early this morning and caused quite a bit of damage. One woman living here said she was woken up by people banging on her door at 4:30 this morning to alert her about what was going on. She says it looked like an ocean outside her front door. Many of her neighbors are dealing with large holes in their sidewalks and driveways from where the water pushed through the road. Right now, there is no exact timeline on when things will get fixed or when water will be restored.
I woke up at 5:15 and the wife said, hey, there's no water at home and no pressure. And so I grabbed my phone, looked at Facebook, and Ward 8, and you see all the comments on it, and nobody's got water.
I feel terrible for them. They don't have a driveway anymore. And then all in front of my house, it's like you can see the underneath of the street exposed. So it's scary walking around the repair that's going to have to be done.
Yeah, and you're looking live here on Johnson Street again, where some repairs are being done as we speak. Obviously, it's the early portion of these repairs. Jessica tells us she's been told it could take at least 12 hours for her water and her neighbors to be restored, but of course, as always, that can change. We're live in Manchester this noon. Kristen Carosa, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there we go on that video and that report. Small 1.9 magnitude earthquake felt in Conway on Monday. A small earthquake hit the Granite State on Monday. The U.S. Geological Survey reported a 1.9 magnitude earthquake was centered in west of Conway. The quake occurred around 10:16 a.m. and there are no reports of any damage. More information can be found at the USGS website. Flu-related deaths rise to 12, health officials say. All victims are adults, health officials say. Flu-related deaths are on the rise in New Hampshire. Officials with the Department of Health and Human Services said 12 adults have died from the flu this season. This continues where influenza-related deaths have been identified are Hillsborough, Merrimack, Rockingham, and Stratford. No children have died from the flu in New Hampshire. Health officials said the flu is still widespread in the state and the number of cases has increased by more than 5% in the past week. Officials said flu is especially dangerous for the young and old and those with underlying health concerns. The flu is most contagious in the first 24 to 48 hours of infection, often before people realize they have it. Experts said that's why it's so important to wash hands and cover coughs. Those with the flu should stay home from school or work until they're fever-free for at least 24 hours. It's also not too late to get the vaccine, either as a shot or nasal spray. One injured when scaffolding collapsed at hotel under construction in Keene. 2 workers were on scaffolding when it collapsed, officials say. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
At
Bell-Tape's customers will find everything they need for a building project. The brand names you trust to perform. And with a fleet of over 50 delivery vehicles, we deliver when and where our customers need them. Bell-Tape's building products. 9 locations throughout New Hampshire and Massachusetts.
Some breaking news out of Keene. Now, one person is in the hospital after a scaffolding collapsed at the site of a hotel there. This happened just before 10:30 this morning on Key Road. 2 workers were on the scaffolding when it fell. One of them was hurt. At this point, we don't know how seriously. Streets in that area are closed right now as a result.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. $46 million charter school grant before State Senate Committee. Proposal rejected by lawmakers twice before. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Those in favor of a $46 million federal grant to expand charter schools in New Hampshire are making their case again for the 3rd time here before the Senate Finance Committee.
We have good public schools in New Hampshire. That's not the point. The point is that parents and kids in particular need different options to thrive and to reach their maximum potential.
This proposal was rejected twice by the Joint Fiscal Committee by a 7-3 vote along party lines. The $46 million would be spread out over several years, creating 20 new charter schools, almost doubling the number that are already operating in New Hampshire. Supporters say they are extremely effective helping at-risk students who don't do well in a public school environment.
I tell you that this is not a zero-sum game where there are winners and there are losers. There are simply children who need opportunities.
While supporters of this proposal say it will particularly help students who may fall through the cracks of the public school system, opponents say that they're worried about who will pick up the bill once the grant money runs out. Senator Lou D'Alessandro sits on both the Fiscal Committee and the Senate Finance Committee.
In enhancing what we have in place and making it better, to me that makes a lot of sense, and that's the public system. And we should be improving the public system. And if the commissioner can do that with this money, I think that would be wonderful.
There's no timetable when the Senate Finance Committee will vote on the proposal. In Concord, Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, there you go on that video and that report. And now let's take a look at your U.S. stock market and see how your U.S. stock market closed this Wednesday evening. And here's a look at that U.S. stock market for all of you for this Wednesday evening. S&P 500 and NASDAQ jumped to record highs. Dow climbs more than 100 points. The S&P 500 and NASDAQ rose to record highs on Wednesday as tech shares outperformed, while investors continued to weigh the coronavirus impact on the global economy. Woman who posed as baby photographer in court. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
The new developments involving that baby kidnapping plot. The woman accused of posing as a baby photographer and drugging a new mom to steal her newborn daughter, appearing in court on Tuesday as we hear from the alleged victim. Paula Ferris is here with more. Good morning, Paula.
Good morning, Michael. What a story this is. The alleged victim says that she was given cupcakes laced with the drug. She couldn't feel her hands, her feet. She grew violently ill. This, as the suspect intended to snap a photo of her baby and then steal it.
I tell you, something's wrong with me. Like, I don't feel good.
Yeah, we're going to get somebody out there. This is the moment panicked Washington State mother Alicia, whose last name is being withheld by police, slurred her words, telling 911 she's been drugged.
I'm super spacey. Like, it's hard to talk. And, like, my hands and my feet and my arms are super numb. I feel like my breathing is jacked up, too.
And now the woman accused of drugging Alicia with a cupcake and intending to steal her baby, appearing in court. 38-year-old Juliet Parker pleaded not guilty in court on Tuesday to charges of second-degree assault and attempted kidnapping. According to court documents, police say Parker, who ran for mayor just last year in Colorado Springs, posted ads as a baby photographer on a Facebook mommy group, offering free newborn photo sessions to build up her portfolio. Alicia responded, meeting with Parker on 3 occasions. She says during their last meeting, Parker's 16-year-old daughter pressured her into eating cupcakes that police believe were tainted. According to court documents, Alicia says her doctor believes she may have been given GHB, also known as the date rape drug.
I was fine, and then I ate a cupcake. I ate one, I was fine, I ate another one, and then my face started instantly going numb.
Officials say that while investigating, they discovered that in November, Parker allegedly asked a former boyfriend if he could get GHB, joked about kidnapping a child as a last resort, and said she would marry him if he found her a baby girl in the next 5 weeks.
I carry a machete, a knife, and pepper spray in my house and in my car. I sleep with a knife even under my pillow.
Alicia says before leaving, Parker took selfies with her newborn baby, then wiped her fingerprints off her drinking glass. She says she also noticed that her house keys were missing, though she says they were later returned.
This is my kids. This is my house. She violated that. She violated my safety. Tried to kidnap my daughter. Seeing her, it's scary. I'm terrified she could come back.
So disturbing. Detectives say that this was Parker's pattern. She offered free photo shoots to women who were 37 weeks pregnant or more. At least a dozen women say that she contacted them or that she visited their homes to take photos, including taking selfies of their babies on her personal phone. But the victim, she said she ate cupcakes. They were divided in 3 categories and was told, I'm testing the recipe, so taste them all.
Well, good for her to be able to get them out of her home and to be able to call 911 like that.
She's so lucky.
Yeah, very fortunate. Paula, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this evening edition of the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your evening, and I'll see you back here tomorrow for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Good night, and bye, everyone.